right, I think we're good to go here. Let's see. Just make sure everything's checking out, and then we will get going live. Hold on one sec. That did not work. And all right, now we should be good. Now we should be good. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. All right, everybody, welcome here to the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. This is our live weekly webcast on how we are connected and the way we get around. I am Ryan Girardi. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Today is Wednesday, April 14th, 2021. Happy hump day to you. Today on the program, big program as usual. Tesla is now expected to accept Bitcoin as payment for its cars. Hyundai plans a car subscription program in Europe, and Volkswagen and BP join forces to boost ultra-fast EV charging across Europe. Yes, leave it to Europe to be first. Plus, how Google's shift away from third-party cookies might benefit auto shoppers, and also why April is a good time to buy a car. But our main topic today that I'm excited to bring to the table is, will cryptocurrency, and more specifically NFTs, play a role in vehicle ownership and mobility in general? And if so, what will that look like? So all this and more coming up. Stay tuned. Hey, we got a good show lined up for you today.
Oh, well, I'm a Game of Thrones nut, so that's my jam.
The robots are listening. The robots are listening.
All right, I'm going to give this another go here. I don't get to see myself because the monitor has a delay, but here we are. So, like I said, our focus today, we have quite a selection of news items and a good general focus. Before I get started, this is a recording session for the AutoConverse podcast. So if you are not subscribed to our podcast, you might want to check it out. Just search for AutoConverse in your preferred podcasting app. And then also, if you did not get if you did not get this show, the live stream for this show sent to your phone, then you need to opt in to the show. And you can do that by texting the keyword AutoConverse to our new number, 855-766-7585, or on our website, you can just click on the link for opt-in and you can fill that out. And every week when we do the show, we will send you a copy of it. Now, I know my face is a little bit cut off, but I think more importantly is that we're all here. It's been about a month since we did our last live show. I was on vacation in between shows. We moved this to every other week. And so I had a little month off from doing the show. But during this time, the chip shortage has continued to affect the vehicle market. It's causing a ripple effect on supply and demand for both cars and trucks. So that's gonna be part of the conversation. Also during this time, many automakers have announced partnerships with companies around battery and charging technologies. And we did cover a couple of weeks ago how EVs are really starting to break through, starting to hit that mainstream point as automakers and governments, really set mandates on the phasing out of combustion vehicles. So some developments there. And then, like I said, Tesla is going to begin accepting Bitcoin for payments of its vehicles. So, bringing in the previous show that we did, we brought up the idea of NFTs being playing a role in car buying, but I ended up writing a piece that you can find on Ward's Auto, more specifically about the idea of NFTs being used as part of the ownership, the ownership experience of a vehicle. So we're not going to get into what NFTs are. What I'm referring to are non-fungible tokens. These are a form of cryptocurrency, if you will, on blockchain. And that's going to be a big part of today's discussion. In fact, in a moment, I'm going to be bringing up a Bitcoin engineer for the Counterparty, which we're going to learn a bit about. His name's Ryan Baptiste, and from the University of Counterparty. New concept here. So you're going to learn a lot today. It's going to be pretty exciting. I'm going to have Ryan on in just a moment. But the question here is, does Bitcoin or crypto in general have a play in automotive? And Some might say no. There's definitely some skeptics out there, but I would say all signs point to yes. Yes, they do. They're going to point. There's going to be on this show today. We're going to focus on the general idea of crypto and automotive. But moving forward, you're going to see this be a recurring theme on the show as it pertains to the consumer experience. And then also there's an industrial side, which we'll cover on a separate program as well. Now, before I bring Ryan on, a couple of news items I just wanted to look at today. So, like I said, Tesla is now going to start accepting Bitcoin. In our previous show, we reported that, and I apologize, I got to bring some notes up here. We had reported that Tesla has invested $150 billion into Bitcoin, and obviously to kind of set the stage for that. So I don't think we have specifics as to when Tesla's going to start doing that, but it is going to be something that we're going to keep an eye on, and we'll be reporting on here. But pretty exciting. That really changes the landscape of. I mean, Tesla already has changed the landscape of owning and buying a car, and they're at it again. So pretty impressive new development. Something else that came up is Hyundai's plans for a car subscription program. This is in Europe. It's going to start in Spain, in some of the rural regions of the country. It'll be a variant of Motion. That's MOCEAN, which is a short-term rental plan, and is a short-term rental plan that launched in Los Angeles just a couple of years ago. And this program is going to rent out 6-month periods, after which the client can choose a new car and renew the service for another 6 months. The whole process be conducted digitally. Okay. We've seen a lot of subscription models come and go. So it's peculiar to see Hyundai kind of get in the ring on this. Not that they haven't been on it, but it's curious to see they figured something out. And I think that their short-term strategy is. All right, let's transition over here. Ryan, I'm going to bring you up on stage, and it's going to be you and me in just a second here. I just got to flip a couple of switches. Let's get this one, and there we go. Hello, sir.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Pretty good. You made it up here. You had to install a new browser, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I installed Opera, but it went pretty smoothly. So,
What were you on?
Safari. So I use iOS.
Okay, so you don't use Chrome then?
No, I had Chrome, but Chrome actually slows down iOS a bit. Safari browser on Apple, so I removed Chrome from my computer.
That's peculiar. I'll have to test it out because I'm an iOS user, and I use both Chrome and Safari, but I never thought of not having Chrome on the machine. So good. Well, glad you made it. Ryan is dialed in from the Naples area in Florida, and we were connected on Clubhouse of all places. In fact, I just put a video up kind of retorting to some folks that were saying Clubhouse is dead and good and good riddance because it's a wasteland. But you can probably attest this too. You probably make some great relationships off of Clubhouse, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Clubhouse is a great outlet to reach new people that usually wouldn't be able to reach. I know Twitter Spaces is starting to come up with a little competition in the voice audio game, but it's a new technology, so it's fun to test out.
It is. So I'm glad you're here. And what I'd like to do is, your focus, you're developing the University of Counterparty, which is attached to Bitcoin. So could you enlighten us, Ryan, on explaining what that actually means? How is Counterparty related to Bitcoin?
Yeah, cool. So you were speaking about NFTs or non-fungible tokens, basically just cryptocurrency tokens. Now, non-fungible tokens has a specific meaning where it's only one of one specific token that only one person can hold. But now pretty much NFTs is starting to stand for any kind of non-fungible token. So you may have one or you may have 100 of them. Even though there's more than one, it would still be considered NFT. So what Counterparty does is it's a protocol that writes data onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And you can create basically your own tokens You can have vanity names. You could have a token named Ryan. You could have a token named Tesla. Once they're gone forever. There's no registration fee like a domain name year after year. And you can do incredible things. You can attach art to these. You can attach all sorts of data. And it's a really strong accounting standard where you can see who holds what at all times. So you may just see a Bitcoin number, but you're able to see the contents inside that wallet. So Counterparty actually uses the most secure blockchain in the world, or most secure computing network in the world, Bitcoin.
Okay. So Bitcoin is technically a computer network. Yes?
Yeah, correct. It's a bunch of decentralized networks that connect together, that all read the same ledger, and they all agree on what data is correct.
Okay. Decentralized is the nature of blockchain. Is that accurate?
I would say that's the goal of blockchain, yes, is to be decentralized. Whether some systems are truly decentralized or not is a different story.
Okay. So a blockchain can also be centralized.
Yeah, correct. It depends on the mining power. So if one person holds 99% of the mining power, or proof of stake, where you actually hold coins that secure the blockchain, if you hold the vast majority, like a voting share in a company or something, it's not really decentralized, since one person has control over everything.
See, I would think if one person has control over everything, it's very centralized.
Yeah, it's not decentralized.
It's not. Okay, so I did pick that up right. Okay.
Correct.
So when we talk about a fiat currency, that's FIAT, that's you're referring to a centralized currency such as the US dollar or the yen, right?
Yeah, I would say that's correct. Yeah, one person has the power to print all the dollars. Yes.
Okay. So going back to Counterparty, you refer to it as a protocol?
A protocol, yeah, where you can actually write data into Bitcoin. So right now, a lot of people refer to Bitcoin as a store of value, or store of, like, a new store of gold or whatever. I actually consider it a store of security, because you can, your blockchain's only as valuable as the security it has. So if you have $1 billion sitting on a blockchain, and it only takes $200 million to overtake that $1 billion, it's not very secure. So the true value in blockchain comes from the security behind it.
Oof. And for folks that are here backstage, there is a private chat. Feel free to use the private chat for me to ask Ryan questions. We have Ryan here for about another 15 minutes, which is a long time for a conversation like this. I'm already kind of scraping to keep up. I mean, Ryan, you've been in blockchain, I think you told me, for 7 or 8 years now, right?
Yeah, correct. About 7 years.
So, I mean, when you talk about these things, these are very natural for you. I mean, these are very familiar concepts for you, but can you understand that for those that are new or unheard of in blockchain, like, this is a totally foreign language? Which
Yeah,
is probably most people tuned into to our podcast.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to explain Bitcoin, so you have centralized systems and you have decentralized systems, and Bitcoin's kind of like, there is no borders with this new type of money. I call it security, and I think the value actually derives from the security itself.
Yeah,
a lot of people will just say store values. Let's just keep it that at currency. You can hold this money inside your own personal wallet, so there's no really middleman controlling your money like a bank would. So the government could always come in and take the money out of your bank and say, okay, well, we took it for this reason. You no longer have it. With Bitcoin, you can store this money in your own bank, your own wallet number, and no one can come and take it from you.
But that wallet is a piece of technology that someone has to develop if you don't, right? So you put your money, you're putting your fiat money in a crypto wallet that somebody else seems like someone else still has the power over that.
Yeah, correct. So there's something called custodial wallets. So custodial wallets are, say, like a Coinbase wallet, where Coinbase has access to all the Bitcoins and they call it a hot wallet, where they store all the Bitcoins, and I'm sure they have money outside of a hot wallet, but that's just like their daily pool of money that they use to send on and off Bitcoin. So if your money's on Coinbase or a centralized exchange like Kraken or one of those, then yes, a third party or second party is actually holding your money. But you can actually withdraw that Bitcoin from Coinbase into your own personal wallet, where you only hold the code yourself and no one can take that from you.
And that would be an app on your phone?
Yeah, it would be, well, Counterparty has a wallet called Counter Wallet. So it's a Bitcoin wallet that can also hold NFTs or coins on Bitcoin. So yeah, it would just be it could be an app on your phone where it's all on the client side. So you're not giving your Bitcoin number to anyone else. It's all generated on the client side of your device. So, or it could be a web wallet where you just create the Bitcoin wallet and then it will give you an address. And then behind that address, you have something called a private key, and that private key gives you access to that wallet.
Let me just do something real quick. So, folks, I mentioned that you're here on the Mobility Tech and Connectivity Show. I'm talking with Ryan Baptiste from xprotectx.com, and we're talking about Bitcoin Counterparty, which is a protocol that he's part of. We're going to be talking for about another 10 minutes. Coming at the bottom of the hour is our Automotive Marketing Pros discussion group. I have Russell Gentry, Mike Columbus. I have Mike Brown in the queue, and we could be waiting on one more. We're going to be looking at why April's a good time to buy a car, and we're looking at how Google's shift to third-party cookies might affect auto shoppers, and we'll also be looking at some animated video short technology as well. That's at the bottom of the hour. Just coming back here to you, Ryan. Let me go. Where did I lose you? Okay. So a Bitcoin address for every URL on Earth. Why would we need that? What's the significance or what's the importance?
Well, to me, the importance about this, it's not just the URL, but it's actually any alphanumeric combination on Earth. So it could be an address, it could be a car serial number, it could be anything. And what it does is it generates a predetermined Bitcoin address where you can fire these counterparty tokens at these addresses, and you can store information forever. So my website is called xProtectX, and that's actually where I mostly just write blogs about Bitcoin. But one of the main reasons I like to call it is it's almost like a 911 call for the internet. So if you see something bad online or someone's going to do something harmful to someone else, you can fire one of these tokens at these URLs, and it will actually tag that site forever. And it's unmutable, and it can never be modified. So the data is there forever.
Wow. Okay. I got to break this down, and I hope you don't mind. I hope these are good questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like sometimes you refer to a digital asset, and sometimes, like you mentioned, a serial number, right? So a serial number is affixed to a product. Can we use a VIN, a vehicle identification number? Can we make that
Absolutely, yeah.
the focus? Okay, so a VIN is just it's an alphanumeric code, 17 digits, go into 21 soon, I think. And in a VIN decoder, which would be a software program, or in a database, is certain information that is publicly accessible if you have that VIN. So what you're saying is you would want to make an NFT out of that, or what would you do with that VIN as it pertains to Counterparty?
Sure. So you have the VIN of your car. So you enter that into the BitcoinTrustNetwork.com, and it shoots out a Bitcoin address. Okay. And that Bitcoin address can hold data. These counterparty tokens are data packets that you can shoot into Bitcoin.
Can you walk me through this process? Like, can I do it on the computer?
Yes. So if you could go to the website, you can go to BitcoinTrustNetwork.com.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. You said, actually, I got to bring up the other tab. Okay. Tell me where to go.
BitcoinTrustNetwork.com.
Network.com. All right, you guys see my screen? I'm up there, right?
It's good.
Okay. Do I need to go get a VIN?
No, so you can go up in that top search bar. You could do a search and just type in anything you want to search in there, or whatever you want to tag. So if you want to tag something,
something that I own, or just something anybody owns.
Any alphanumeric combination you can put in there, and it's going to pull up an address for you. It's all predetermined.
Oh, I want to get the audience in on this. Come on, guys. Private chat, real quick. If you're backstage, give me something you want me to tag. And meanwhile, you can answer one question from Mike B. How does Bitcoin purchase affect Bitcoin? How does Bitcoin purchase affect purchase negotiation? That's a good advanced question. Is that a quick answer or no?
I'm not really sure what Mike means by that.
Okay, so Mike, you'll have to elaborate. All right, I'm gonna pick my old my old house address. How's that?
Yep. So
Then
you can
next
see
to
as you're
screen-
typing, it's actually generating new Bitcoin addresses as you go.
generating addresses. Interesting.
So all those QR codes is a new Bitcoin address. So every time you add a letter, it generates a new Bitcoin address.
Okay.
So you have 2515 Durango Lane in there, right?
Right.
So I don't want to do a 911 call for your house, but let's just say you had a neighbor who thought you were awesome. They could make their own NFT saying Ryan's awesome, and then they could fire that at that address right there you have on your screen, and that data will stay there forever as long as Bitcoin exists.
And why would someone need to do that?
Well, let's say you're if you're a government or state or something, and you're tracking addresses, you might want to know who lives around you, if there's any felons, if there's any types of people that you should be made aware of.
I see at the bottom, this is actually your site.
Correct.
Okay, because I was going to ask, I'm like, whose site is this?
Yeah, so me and a guy named John Villar, he developed it. He's one of the core Counterparty developers. Unfortunately, he passed away a month ago, but he was just one of the best Bitcoin developers in the world, and he came up with this creation.
Wow, sorry to hear that, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, so just so I can kind of, because we got a few more minutes here. This is a website on a web server, which requires the internet to exist.
Well, actually, these codes can be generated off the internet. They're all predetermined.
The codes are, well, because I was going to say, but where the engine behind this behind this site is a blockchain, right?
Well, it's what's creating these burn codes. So if you send a Bitcoin asset or NFT to this address, it's going to stay in there forever. But there's no known key for that particular address, so you can never pull the data out. It's an algorithm that creates that burn address or that data packet that we can fire at that URL. One good example might be you enter a car, you buy a car, and you purchase an extended warranty, and you have it for 5 years. You could send, like the manufacturer could send that data to that address they typed in there for the VIN number, and that data will always be there.
Right.
Your access.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. So I decided to go get a VIN, not my own, because this is coming up in conversations. Just so you know, like where does Bitcoin, where does blockchain fit in? With vehicles.
What's powerful about this technology is it's all public. So obviously, if you have different warranties on different cars or whatever, there's different databases that are fractionalized, and all the data is not together. With this, you send the data, manufacturers, people, repairs, fixes, and so on, and the data will always be recorded there, and it will always be there as long as Bitcoin exists.
So even by me not saving anything on my screen, that node was created on Bitcoin?
Correct. So it's actually not created on Bitcoin. It just creates the burn address, and then when you fire the data at that particular burn address, it's stored on Bitcoin forever. Correct.
All right. And this is tricky stuff. So, I mean, I think we all, based on conversation and even our limited understanding, I think a lot of us see vehicles, VINs specifically, needing to be, I was going to say on blockchain, but I think what we're learning from you is it's going to benefit by being on Bitcoin.
Well, I think blockchain. I think you're more right about blockchain. Bitcoin's limited to about 300,000 transactions a day. With Counterparty, we might be able to do more sends than that currently. So there'll be other blockchains that don't need to be as secure as Bitcoin. Bitcoin will probably only secure stuff that's $1 million or $10 million or $50 million in the future, while other chains will be willing to secure like a car of 30,000 or 40,000 on a chain that's not not as secure, but it's not need to be as secure.
All right. Here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to dig deeper. And that's why we're doing this, because we want to go down the rabbit hole and really understand how to tie this in. And look, my knowledge and experience is limited. What I'd like to do is bring Mike Brown onto the studio to ask his question. He asked regarding price negotiation, does this create more of a fixed price? Mike, I'm going to go ahead and bring you on. Your camera's going to come on, and you can we only have a couple of minutes, but then we'll parlay into the panel discussion as well. Before I do that, Ryan, thanks for, this goes fast, I know. But thanks for taking the time to be here and help us work through some of these questions. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I love this stuff, so I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Ryan.
Oh, and you know what? Before I do, a part of the reason we brought you here is we wanted to introduce the University of Counterparty. So Mike, I'm going to bring you on, and we'll start with your question. But Ryan, why don't you tell us what University of Counterparty is? Yeah,
so the University of Counterparty, it's just it's a site, and I named it University just to people, teach them, learn about how to use Counterparty and the blockchain, create their own art, and have a bunch of fun.
And I did see, like, you can go to FAQ and submit your own. You can submit a question, basically. Yeah, correct. This is for the users in the community who just want to build up the FAQ base. I launched this a couple of weeks ago, so it's still limited on for information, but it'll get there. Is it possible to install 2 different instances of Free Wallet for different seeds? And then this is your answer here. Yeah, it's answered by JDog. That's actually one of the main developers of Counterparty. Okay. This is a nice nimble site. It looks like it flows really smooth. So uocp.org. So it's basically a way for people a community around Counterparty to learn and be educated. Why do we need these cards? Can I show some of these cards from here? You might be able to use the magic. Yeah, if you click that top link, the magic one, that's going to bring us to Protect X. And I think you'll be able to see, if we scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to see some of those cards. So that's actually, that card right there is the first art associated NFT ever. There's 300 of them. It's called the FD card. That recently sold for $46,000. Is this a photo of a physical card? Yeah, so this is actually created by Spells of Genesis, and it was just art drawn for a game people play inside these cards. So these people are playing these free games over the last 5 years, and they've been earning these cards. So some of these people have 3 or 4 of these cards, and they're worth about $200,000 right now, and they probably don't even know it. But they're physical cards that somebody would actually own. No, they're just digital cards. They're just NFTs on your phone, and they're stored inside a Bitcoin wallet. So this card actually exists inside Bitcoin. Inside Bitcoin, okay. The picture does not actually exist inside Bitcoin, but that token, the FD card up top there, that's the NFT or the cryptocurrency that represents this card inside Bitcoin. Okay. So who's creating the art? Different people? So the University of Counterparty teaches anyone how to create any art they want. So you can be an artist, you can create a card or a design, and you can go put it on Bitcoin, and you can sell it. All right, man, I'm tickled. All right, this is cool. Mike, let's bring you on, Mike Brown, so you can ask your question. And I'll bring us to here. There you go. Hello, Mike.
How you doing?
Now, Mike's on our panel. We're about to have our automotive panel, and he's got some technology to show us. But go ahead and rephrase your question for Ryan before we let him go.
Oh, I was just thinking, it's like when you're negotiating a car price, usually there's a lot of haggling. And so I was wondering, like, how is that affected with Bitcoin? Does it put people into a space of more like going to the store and there's a price tag and saying yes, rather than the usual haggling that goes on when buying a car?
So like the pricing, how do you determine the price of Bitcoin?
A little bit, and just the overall price of the car. It's like they say this car costs $60,000.
Yeah.
You go, sure, okay. Or
the art itself, the actual physical art cards,
or just the car itself. If you're
he's saying car like vehicle,
like car vehicle.
And Ryan, you're hearing card like
okay,
yeah. So what he's at, you're kind of Mike, I think you're kind of skipping the gun. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out the role the NFTs are going to play in the automotive and mobility space, and obviously vehicles are the core part of that. So I think you're trying to get into like, how does all this affect the final price of a car? Was that your
Yeah,
question?
a little bit.
Yeah, I don't see a correlation there personally.
Okay, then I might be off.
Do you, Ryan, with his question?
No, I don't think the adding the data or whatever depends on the fee of the blockchain, but right now it's only costs about $5-6 to send data through the blockchain, so I don't think it affected too much.
Mike, put a pin in that one, because we're gonna figure that out over the next month or so. That's what we're gonna. In fact, I'm doing a panel in June specifically on the role that NFTs are going to play on vehicle ownership, which is more around mobility, but also how crypto is going to play a role with the sale of a vehicle. Because here's the reality is, a car is an asset that has a fluctuating value that gets bought and sold multiple times throughout its lifetime. Mike and Russell, I'm going to bring you up just so you're part of the conversation. And Ryan, once we segue out, obviously I know you got stuff to do, so you can bail. But Mike, what you're getting at is that, like, here's an asset that's got a fluctuating value. It's going to get sold and caught. Crypto blockchain is definitely going to have a role in that very quickly, probably before we realize it. Wouldn't you agree, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. Elon Musk is actually the CEO. He named himself the CEO of Dogecoin for one day on Twitter a couple years ago, and then he's putting a Dogecoin on the moon, he says. So I think Dogecoin and Tesla and the autonomous driving, I wouldn't be surprised if Elon launched like an Uber competitive, and actually the passengers might pay with Dogecoin.
Well, didn't he name his CFO Master of the Coin or something like that too?
I don't know about that one, but he's shooting his memes off all day on Twitter about Dogecoin. And
well, there was a SEC filing, so they actually filed, and he changed his CEO title or added to it, and then he made his CFO Master of the Coin. So I think Brian spot on. It's usually those little nuances that he puts out there when he's working on some undercover project. So
I actually created a tweet for Elon Musk about 3 years ago on Bitcoin, and it's not the first one on Bitcoin because some Japan company did it first. But I believe I did his tweet. It was like the number 2 tweet, and I called it Tweever, Twitter forever, and it was for Bitcoin. And I think it was funding secured at 420 or something of that sort. And I put that on inside Bitcoin. And there's 2 of those tokens that exist. So,
go ahead. All right. I was just going to say, this is fascinating to me. I'm learning just sitting and listening. I mean, I kind of had some understanding of it, but I do think back to Mike's point, attaching some kind of service like a warranty or something to a car is a conversation that the OEMs have had about blockchain. Correct, Ryan?
Yeah. If you're asking me, yes. Yeah. And I think I'll use, to kind of seal the conversation, because we got to move on to other things, I'll use your cards, Ryan, that you were showing us. If those are worth thousands of dollars as a piece of artwork, and then we're talking about assets like houses and cars, right? There's a significant role there. Yeah. And like I said, everyone's already chomping at the bit to find that association for sure. So Ryan, obviously you're welcome back anytime, and I hope that you are back continually, because I think there's a great community here, and there's a lot to learn and to be to everyone's benefit, including yours.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a blast, and I'd love to come back whenever you're ready.
Great. We will see you soon, and we'll let you go because we're going to start talking a bit more deeper into the car business.
All right, thanks guys. Have a good night.
Take care, Ryan. All right, that was Ryan Baptiste from the University of Counterparty talking about the Bitcoin Counterparty Protocol, which led to this conversation here. So Mike Columbus from Seattle, Russell Gentry. Wait, you're Florida?
Yeah, Florida, man. Yep.
You are
Fort Lauderdale based.
Fort Lauderdale. Okay, I was like, you're on the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
And then Mike Brown, where are you dialed in from?
Sacramento, California.
San Fernando, California.
No, Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay, Sacramento. All right. Okay. I'm hearing that fuzzing tick again. I don't know what it is. So do me a favor. If you're not talking, just go ahead and mute your phone. We're going to talk about why April's a good time to buy a car. Then we're going to look at.
I think it's me, Ryan.
Yeah, actually, Mike, you're frozen. I'm going to go ahead and remove you and come back in. Okay. You're not out of the studio, Mike, just so you know, but you were frozen. If you're on your phone, I don't know if it's on Wi-Fi or not, but hopefully it sorts it out. Let's see if we add you back. All right. Now I don't hear the ticking, so that's good. All right, let me get rid of this good old thing here. Pretty wild conversation, though, huh, guys? I mean, we got a lot to figure out.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
You were asking some great questions, but I still have a hard time wrapping my head around the complexity of it, you know?
I told Ryan when we've been in a few clubhouse rooms together for nothing related to blockchain. Like I just happened to see his profile in the group and we both kept coming back to the same group. It's for a small business. We do this, it's called Hot Seat for Small Business. And so we invite people to be on the hot seat. In fact, you're all invited because we do about 2 or 3 people every week and it's wild. So he's been in that group and, you know, I know he's into crypto. So I struck up a conversation and I said, Ryan, if you and I are having this conversation just a month ago, I would think you're talking Greek, but I actually understand some of the words you're using. And so yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Mike Brown, where can we go to see your example of your animated video shorts? I forgot to bring that up on my screen.
AutoYap, auto-yap.com.
auto-yap.com. We're just going to, oops, I typed something wrong. Auto-yap, Y-A-P?
Yep.
.com. Oh, it is up. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Now we're going to be quick on this, just so everybody knows. We're going to have to be kind of quick on this, but we're going to look at a couple animated. All right, so should I go and play this then?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, and you're the artist. Mike draws these. Oh, you're not going to hear the sound, but that's okay. He's saying what's on screen. Okay, so I'm going to let that keep playing. But Mike Brown, why don't you tell us why did you and your partner, why are you developing this technology? What's the need for this?
Well, a couple of things. It's like, with COVID, number one, it's really changed how people go to a dealership. And also with social media, creating content is a key. And so a lot of times when you're creating video, you have to send in a crew. You have lighting. You have to get your script read correctly. There's a lot of things that come between you and a good video. So the idea is making a templatized, in a way, animation. I create a character, and it becomes a library of parts that you can make continuous videos. So it's more than just making a one-off. It's to do a video campaign. And what you really need is just you just need a script and audio, and then you tie it to the character. Now,
did this happen because you had dealers that wanted video but didn't want to be in them? What led to that?
Well, that too. That's part of it too. Is the problem of appearing on the video. Some people don't like the way they look. So I consider myself kind of a digital plastic surgeon, and I apply digital Botox. So what happens is oftentimes people want one less chin or lose 20 pounds. I can make that happen in a hurry. So it cures a couple of problems like speed. Also, you can quickly make things. Also, I can make video that's vertical, that's designed for the phone.
Keep replaying. It's a short video, so I'm like losing track. Okay, cool. So you kind of make a template or a suite, and then who's doing the audio? Is the dealer doing the audio? Is that option?
It's a choice. Sometimes it's the dealer, and other times I have a voiceover. My partner in the venture is a great voiceover guy. That's who you're looking at right now. He's got he sounds great right now because I don't have to listen to him. But
He's not watching.
Well said. I like that.
I hope he's not watching. At least I don't have to listen to him.
Yeah, now he's blowing up your phone, obviously.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, it's now I'm thrown off by I forgot what he asked.
We were just asking if the audio track is like if you guys are doing that or if it's something the dealer.
It's a combination. I even can do text to audio because now there's a lot of programs that you can use that create audio from a text script that you load in, and you can choose the accent, you can choose voice, the whether female, male, female, or whatever. So there's a lot of different options. And then I apply it. I use Adobe Animate, and there's a lip sync function that if I create it right, it becomes a very quick method of creating new content.
Russell, feel free to if you have any questions or input on the subject. I'm trying to stay focused on the videos, but Mike Columbus fell off the show. I think he didn't think he was on, and then he fell off. So
I like Mike's point to the fact of how digital retailing and the dealers have kind of changed over the course of the last year. You're not taking, in certain states, you certainly can't take a video crew to a dealership, or at least you couldn't until things started opening up. So there's certainly a home for it. But beyond that, to me, it's fascinating, right? I mean, it's such a noisy planet out there with all the content that's on the internet. And from my perspective, this is fresh and different. And so for a dealer to garner some attention of a consumer, this does it. I think it's cool. It's neat. I mean, I've been in the space a long time, and I got to tell you, when I was doing the research for the show, I went to the site and watched them.
Yeah, they're fun to do, and it's fun to draw people. When I was a kid, I used to take a girl's student ID home and come back with a pen and ink drawing to get dates on the weekend. So it's like people have always liked that stuff, and also my first cartoon got me suspended from Catholic school, so I knew it'd have an impact.
It was a sign of things to come, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was about this nun with a crooked finger.
Well, hopefully she's not watching.
She's probably dead by now. When I was 13, she was like 80 years old. So she's a 150-year-old nun or something.
So Mike, what percentage of the clients that you guys have on the platform use the voiceover versus actually put the dealer personality in there? Because I know
we're finding the general manager because they're really egocentric type of characters, and so they want to be the star. And so that's what we're creating now. Is usually it's the general manager more so than the owner or one of the salesmen themselves.
I can see that. I've seen them animate the cars before. Have you seen that?
That's one of the next steps that we're doing now. Is like creating an animated car. Use it because I don't know about you, but older cars especially, they look like a face. Yeah. Like the bumper is a mouth, and the eyeballs are the lights. So we're starting to create talking cars. That's the next step.
Hey man, they've been around since the 80s. Well, actually since the 60s. What was it, Herbie? Remember Herbie?
Oh yeah. That's right.
Hey, very cool stuff. Thank you for sharing that, and Russ, thanks for chiming in on that. Mike Brown from AutoYap. You can go to auto-yap.com for more. So thank you, Mike. Mike, stay on the panel. We're going to switch into some more technical stuff, but I mean, you're in the business and you're a consumer too. Hopefully, Mike Columbus gets back up here. I'm going to
I'll hang out, no problem.
Yeah, hang right here. Let me just do this. All right. So Mike Brown, you're still backstage, and if you have any questions for Russell, feel free to use the private chat, and I'll do that. And hopefully Mike C gets here. Now, Russell, I'm going to bring the article up, but this is kind of your track here. Google is basically getting away from these browser cookies, which I'm pretty sure they introduced 10, 12 years ago. So give us the headline. What's the big shift? Let me ask you a question, but what's the big shift right now that Google's doing related to cookies?
Yeah, so Google, and it's not just necessarily Google, but the major browser windows out there, as we were talking about before, is Safari and Chrome. So let's talk about Chrome and Google. And what they've identified is that they're no longer going to allow for the use of third-party cookies for consumer retargeting. So, for the dealers watching, it's a very common phenomena today. So I go to gentryford.com, I look at F-150s, then I shoot over to ESPN to check the baseball scores, and all of a sudden I see an ad for the Gentry Ford in the column, right? And it might be as sophisticated as displaying inventory for the F-150s. So that's been around for a very, very long time. The walled gardens, as people call them, which is Google, Apple, Facebook, etc., have a very captive audience. They control the identity of a lot of these individuals because of our devices and our phones and being logged into different applications. So Google's basically in the headline here said, listen, when third-party cookies go away, we're not creating an alternative for them. We're going to just kind of stick to first-party data and the old way of doing things.
Okay, good. So sorry there. I'm a little concerned that we lost Mike Columbus because
on the whole screen, I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, well, every video thumbnail, changes everything. So, but I'm trying not to get too distracted. I just feel bad for Mike Columbus. He was dialed in on his phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So what's the alternative? Like, why do they no longer need the cookies? What evolved?
So the argument, let's just talk about there's two what we'll call arguments depending on which side of the fence you fall on. If you listen to Google and Safari, which is Apple, and Google has Chrome, they indicate that it has to do with consumer privacy, right? We want to limit the ability for the consumer's information to be used by outside party sources. If you talk to Facebook, which has a huge problem with this, obviously, because a large portion of the revenue comes from advertising dollars using these platforms, they're going to say, well, it's just creating walled gardens, right? And the walled garden concept means that, listen, Google knows who I am, it knows who Ryan is because of the devices on our phones. They have our identity because we're logged in. So then it allows them to control a significant portion of the ad spend. The challenge, I think, for Tier 3 auto is simply this. There are hundreds of players in the space that do these services for dealerships, right? And digital retargeting is a very, very big part, especially of vehicle inventory for Tier 3 dealers. So it's interesting as you shift. I mean, the dealers are going to need to find creative ways to shift to their own first-party data and find alternatives to these retargeting platforms.
Oh my God. Russell, I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm out there looking for Mike. So and this is a question from Mike, actually. Thanks for putting the question up here. He says, what will the pivot be for the advertiser? And you kind of just alluded to some of these adjustments, but for the advertiser specifically, how are they going to have to adapt, and how quickly? Is this immediate or is this gradual?
No, it's been gradual, right? So historically speaking, they've been the browser providers, Safari and Chrome, have been giving off these signals with their updates for going on 2 years now, if I recall correctly. It's just now kind of escalated the discussion because now it seems like it's going to be before the end of the year. So the timeline is probably somewhere between now and the end of the year. So that's kind of the timeline piece. Where's the pivot at? Well, the pivot is that you're still going to be able to do retargeting, but you have to do it specifically with the advertiser that controls the audience, right? So Facebook is going to know the identity of the consumer. Google is going to know the identity of the consumer. So it's not going to allow for a lot of these DSPs and stuff unless they shift to some kind of identifier platform. Now, with that said, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, even outside of Tier 3 auto. You have huge consumer product goods, hospitality, power sports, et cetera, that all spend money on retargeting like this. So a lot of the trade industry partners, the bigs in the space, are developing what they call, unified ID solutions. And those solutions are where they're trying to create these databases, and they use something called a hashed email. And the hashed email still allows for the consumer privacy, but then they know the identity. In my humble opinion, that's still going to leave a lot of gaps in the system. It's not going to provide tier 3 for what they've been used to.
Does this have an adverse effect on a lot of companies, like particularly either publishers or exchanges, like ad exchanges, or advertisers themselves? Well, I kind of just addressed the advertisers, but does this hurt some businesses?
It definitely hurts a lot of the advertisers, right? So if you're a digital marketing agency and you're used to, doing things a certain way with retargeting, it's going to hurt you, right? If you're an advertising agency that uses like Google DV360, you're still going to be able to do that because Google still knows the audience, but you're not going to have the entire audience. You're going to have the audience that Google knows about, right? So whatever percentage of the audience that they control at that point, if you use DV360. The one it really benefits, though, is probably Amazon. And Amazon just controls an immense market share. They have their own digital advertising platform, and they don't really need retargeting. They don't need a third party. So it's going to be interesting to me. What I would submit is at what point do we see Amazon and crew start really pushing into tier 3 auto? They're there now with connected TV and OTT, but they don't really, it's not like you see them like it's prevalent, right? Not like you see a Google or a Facebook.
When you say pushing, you mean to serve up ads for auto? That's what
serve up ads on the network, because they're really the only ones in the space, Ryan, that control both the browser streaming piece, right, and also the online piece. They have a significant inventory and display online advertising because of the audience that they have. I mean, everybody gets probably an Amazon package at some point, so they know your identity.
I'm going to use this opportunity to actually plug something that you may or may not know, because we were talking about Ask Auto.
Yeah.
We recently partnered with Ask Auto on AutoConverse so that visitors could activate a shopper shield and protect their privacy if they want to sell or trade. But Ask Auto's primary advertising product, do you know what it is? Are you familiar?
I don't know what the advertising product is. Yeah.
Their core advertising product is Amazon.
Yeah.
So you can, basically you set a budget as a dealer, and Ask Auto will run their quiz on Amazon, and Amazon will target that to people, and anyone that activates goes into your lead box through that ad. So I think, to your point, Amazon, you almost suggested Amazon has more customers than Google might. Amazon would know where more people are than Google would. Is that
I don't have specific numbers in front of me, but I would say that yes, from a digital fingerprint standpoint, knowing that it's Ryan or it's Russ or it's George or it's Betty, Amazon definitely has more control over that space. Many times we're already logged into on our phones, on our iPads, or on our iPhones to our app, right? And we're getting push notifications for the status of delivery of packages and that type of thing. So Amazon definitely has the ability of controlling a large market share. I'm very familiar with Eric and the Ask Auto product. It has the ability of shifting the conversation over to the consumer, right? So the consumer kind of takes control. They answer the questions, and then that information is then broadcasted over the network. So I think that's really been the shift, is how much control do the big tech companies have versus the consumers, right?
So our cookies, they're not going away anytime soon, I'd imagine.
The cookies will be, so, I mean,
there's still a need for cookies. There's
still a need for cookies. There's good cookies. I mean, there's stuff that allows us to remain logged into certain applications and things like that. But from a retargeting perspective, probably within the next year or so, based on the signals that Google and Safari have given off, I think that their demise is coming.
You just send this message. I was going to say there's a need for cookies. It's funny that my internet service regionally went out for, I'd say, about 2 or 3 hours. This was maybe a month ago. And it was Verizon and Comcast both went out. Something happened. And so I lost internet at home, and on my phone. Like I had cell service, but not data.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was when the service came back, I could tell all my cache on the servers were gone.
Yeah.
Because it was like the internet was in slow motion.
Yeah.
And it just made me realize how much information that we consume over time that actually sits there but in a good way, so that your experience is faster.
Oh yeah, consumer experience, right? I mean, that's what a lot of this is built to do, is to make it more convenient. We're searching in Google near me, right? So my location intelligence is turned on my phone. I want to know where is the local gas stations closest to me. So a lot of the process was built to cause consumers to have a better experience, right? Somewhere along the lines, what happened is that information became power, and it was leveraged for advertising dollars, right? Whether it was location or browser history or any of those things. And that's when I think a lot of the big tech companies have realized that there has to be a little bit more custodial, coverage or protections in place for the consumers. They're starting to push back. But the dealers still, listen, they have probably one of the biggest assets that they have, which is their first party data, right? Their CRM databases, their DMS systems. And as you know, I mean, I go way back with the DMS side of things, and just, taking care of their customers, getting out content to know that those individuals are back in the market again, that they're searching for another car. That's really what it is. It's not this spray and pray that I think that they've gotten used to,
Yeah. I mean, I guess it all boils down to is the ad, I would call them networks, the big players. They have all the data that they need. The cookies effectively aren't necessarily serving the purpose that they were initially.
Yeah, so the cookies going away is going to significantly impact their inventory, right? But they're still going to be able to use some of these other systems where they match back, the hashed email systems, the MAIDs from the devices. It's not going to be nearly as effective. It's going to add another layer to it. But there are ways to shift around it. I don't think it's certainly, I don't want to seem like it's, Armageddon for dealers, for tier 3 dealers.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that, there's not enough awareness at the dealership level that this is coming. And a very important part is, if you and I own, ABC Ford, is for us to get our inventory out there. We have to tell to sell, right? And retargeting has been a very, very big part of VDP pages for a long time.
So what I'm curious about, kind of maybe final question, because we're coming to the end here, is, and the advertising landscape can be complicated because, as I said, you have these exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way to describe an exchange, just from a consumer standpoint, is when you see an ad that, like you described earlier, because you were talking about something with somebody, and now you're seeing an ad for it, or you visited a website and now you're seeing the whole talking about something and then seeing ad is wigging people out. I get people asking about that all the time. I'm like, yeah, your phone can hear what you're doing. So
and you're nice, I mean,
yeah,
it can hear you.
Exactly. I don't even do the smart devices in my home because it's too creepy. I'm like that old guy already. I'm like, no, I don't trust what they're going to do with the info long term. So I just kind of want it out. But you know what I found out? I can't get rid of some players. I can't get Apple out of my life, and I can't get Google out of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Ryan Baptiste, who was on, as he said, he doesn't have Chrome because it slows down his machine. Right. Well, that made me wonder, he probably has an iPhone. And if he doesn't use Chrome and he has an iPhone, does he use Google at all? And that might be an example of where here's someone who's plugged in, but maybe Google has nothing on him.
Yeah.
I use DuckDuckGo for a search engine instead of Google.
I saw that when it was up on the screen before.
Yeah. And that applies to my phone and whatnot too. So, it's funny. At this stage, these phones, man, I mean, it's you're like an open book. The days of privacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is where I like the blockchain concept, is who you are from a cryptonic standpoint. There's value there, and we have to own it. I actually just uninstalled Snapchat from my phone. I've been on Snapchat since 2013, like almost when it came out.
Yeah.
Right. And they haven't done anything nefarious with anybody's info, as far as I can tell.
It'd be all over the media. If there was some kind of breach, it'd be publicized.
Yeah, I look at things like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, whose algorithms just kind of went haywire. And I was going to bring that up today with Ryan about crypto, because one thing blockchain can do is solve that. It can solve the whole fake news problem we have with our algorithms.
Yeah, I think that personalization and things being delivered up to you and I in a customized format has its value, right? I mean, the fact that we're searching for something, but I'm not really sure that the identity piece of it has to be tied in back to every aspect of the consumer's life, right? So, you mentioned YouTube. They're watching carefully those video analytics, right? So they know how long you're watching a video. If you're watching it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and they're rating that content of that video against how many people watch it and how long they watch it. So that kind of stuff is probably helpful when they're moving things to the top that you might be interested in. It's hey, I mentioned, ketchup or Heinz ketchup, right? Burger King. And all of a sudden now that flag goes off in a consumer file somewhere. That's probably where a lot of folks get a little worried,
That's pretty funny, our shortage of ketchup.
Yeah.
It's funny that stuff makes news.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a quick plug? Tell us what Smart Pixel is.
Yeah, so thanks. So Smart Pixel, my partner, Greg Ash, developed it going on 5 years ago. And Smart Pixel originally was designed to be an attribution model, particularly in tier 3 auto, but now it's expanded. We've been very fortunate into all kinds of industries. But Smart Pixel is a piece of code. It does not depend on cookies. It does not depend on IP retargeting, which have been kind of the mainstays in the space, that goes on to the header of the website. But in a fully compliant manner, it de-anonymizes the web traffic. So, as a car dealer, as Gentry Ford, I'm spending a lot of money to drive traffic to my website. Smart Pixel turns that anonymous data into an identified customer. Rush Gentry, 123 Main Street, driving an F-150. The reason that's valuable is that, a dealer can look at this and say, hey, listen, I've sold Russ 3 trucks before, and now he's back on my site, but he hasn't put a lead in. Even Google will admit that even the best operated sites out there, maybe 3% conversion where they raise their hand or put a form in. So this 97% of this other traffic is brand aware, brand affinity, and it's doing things that they're shopping. So this is our way of actually empowering the dealerships and the brands. We've been really lucky. It's in power sports, it's in RVs, it's in hospitality, restaurants. It's just turned into a really good way for brands and organizations not to have to depend on the cookie retargeting.
Okay. All right, cool. And it's not limited to automotive, correct?
No, not at all. We're very fortunate. We've got a lot of great RV relationships, boat relationships, 2 or 3 large boat manufacturers, hotel chains, timeshares. We even have a protein shake drink company out of New York that uses it. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
And basically, it's just helping the company, the website, understand all the behavior going on, not just one behavior.
Yeah, so it just looks at the website behavior. And so when I go to the website, it lets the brand or the company know that, hey, Russ has been at your website. Here's what he's been looking at. It's a version, when we look at what the market really carries right now is Google Analytics, but it just tells you page views, how long they were on site, that type of thing. It doesn't tell me that it's Russ or it's Ryan. The information that a brand can take from Smart Pixel allows them to curate their content and create a customized experience for the consumer instead of just constantly hitting them with retargeting.
All right. Very, very cool. Well, folks, Russell, Gentry, everyone, it's M1 Data and Analytics, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
What's the M?
Well, years ago, the original corporation name was Media One, so we just abbreviated it in recent years.
All right. And I gather you are a Star Wars buff.
How did you detect that there, Batman?
Those look like some pretty novel pieces of artwork. You need to get them on the blockchain.
Right? I'm gonna ping Ryan right after this show.
Look, we're heading into a new fascinating season in mobility. as it pertains to blockchain. I mean, not that it's newer for me personally, but relatively newer. Most people I know, I'm just starting to have conversations around how blockchain applies, and that's what led to the upcoming panel we're going to do. So I should bring that up on my screen. If you go to tlsummits.com, folks, what you'll see. You know what? Why don't I do this, Russell? Why don't I let you go, because your time's valuable and you've been here.
Yeah, no worries.
So you're welcome to sit and let me finish. But I'm just going to go ahead and do some final housekeeping. But thank you for making it today. It's great to have you here.
Appreciate it greatly.
Definitely. Thank you, Russ. All right. So, folks, what I'm going to do is just kind of go pick up where I left off. So if you go to tlsummits.com, this is the Thought Leadership Summit, who puts on the annual Auto CX Summit this year called CXAUTO2021. And we've been invited to host a panel there on day 3 for the Data and Analytics Day on June 17th. So I'm in the process of putting together a panel discussion on blockchain and mobility and automotive. That is coming up in June at tlsummits.com. Go there now. Get with me. I'll get you a 20% discount code. I don't have it up on the site yet, but that is coming. But get with me first if you get this message and want to look into that. Shouts out again to Ryan Baptiste for joining us today, talking about Bitcoin Counterparty, and that parlayed into our conversation about NFTs and crypto in general in automotive. Unfortunately, Mike Columbus had some technical difficulties, wasn't able to be part of the discussion today, so I was sad to see that. But thank you to Mike Brown from AutoYap as well, looking at animated video shorts. Check out the news links at the bottom. They're all right down here. Like I said, the GM has partnered with a lithium battery startup, and I put that in there because battery technology, I'm telling you, you're going to start hearing about it a lot as EVs, cross over that chasm and become more and more mainstream. Battery technology is heating up, and so is charging stations. And that's why we brought up that VW and BP have joined forces for an ultra-fast EV charging all across Europe. And then finally, as you saw, Toyota and Isuzu are teaming up to develop an EV connectivity, EV and connectivity technologies to streamline their logistics. So again, fascinating time, folks, for everybody here. I am Ryan Girardi. Make sure, again, you subscribe to our podcast. Search for AutoConverse in your preferred podcast app. And if you haven't already, send the text the keyword AutoConverse to 855-766-7585 to have this show sent to you on your phone. And shouts out to our supporting sponsor, Ask Auto, which you heard me mention while I was talking to Russell. At Ask Auto, you can protect your privacy and save on all of your car shopping. Activate your Ask Auto Shopper Shield today, and you can sell your car, trade your car. You can even get a value for your trade for free without giving up your privacy to any dealers. Go to autoconverse.com/Ask Auto. And make sure you subscribe to our blog at autoconverse.com, and you'll have this show sent to you via email ahead of time so you can see what the heck we're doing from day to day. Have a great rest of the evening, everybody. And thanks for tuning in, both on Backstage and on the live stream. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and we will be back in 2 weeks with our next show. Take care, everyone.